Let's start off by utilizing Upright's database feature. Head over to your Upright console and select the Databases section. Click Create Database and name it to your liking. Once done, let's create two collections in our database. In the Events collection, go to the Attributes tab and add the following information you see on your screen. This table shows the attribute that you are going to put on the event collection. Attributes are used to define the structure of your documents. We'll get into that later. Let's do the same thing for the Attendees collection. Great! We now have two collections in our database. The Events collection is where we will store all the information related to the events we want to plan and manage. And the Attendees collection is where we store information about the people who will be attending our events. When we create a database in collections, there are IDs that we need to use for our Flutter project. So click the ID buttons for database and for each collections to copy. Then go back to our Upright constant so we can create static variables for those IDs. Great! This time, let's go ahead and create new folders and Dart files so that we can proceed on creating our event feature. Inside the feature folder, we added a new folder called Events with 4 subfolders inside, namely Models, Services, Views, and Widgets. The Models folder is where we keep all the data models for the information we'll store in the Upright backend. So it's like a digital storage area for blueprints of how our app's data should be organized and what properties it should have. Inside the Models folder, we have 2 Dart files, Event Model and Attendees Model. The Events Model Dart file defines a blueprint for how an event's information should be structured. It will have variables to represent event name, date, location, description, and other relevant details, which is exactly the same as the attributes type for events collection in the Upright console. Similarly, the Attendees model file defines a blueprint for how information about attendees should be structured. It will have variables for the user's ID and the event ID they joined. The event service also functions the same way as the auth service that we did earlier. So it contains code where we use Upright's API for event-related features. So we'll get into more detail about that later in this video. For the Views folder, we created a total of 5 new Dart files, and this folder contains different views or screens that the user can interact with. Create Events is where users can create their own events. Created Events is where users can see the events they created. Event Details is where the user can see the complete detail of an event. Join Events is where the user can see all the events created by every user. Lastly, Joined Event is where users can view the events that they joined. Finally, the Widgets folder contains a file called Event Card. This file will contain a widget that represents a card-like UI element that displays information about an event. We can easily reuse it throughout our app whenever we need to display event information. More into that later. So let's start off in the Models folder. Open the Event Model file. This MyEventModel class provides a structured and organized way to represent event data. It has the following properties, aka variables, to store information about the event. These are Event ID, a unique identifier for the event, title, the title or name of the event, date time, the date and time of the event, location, the location where the event will take place, creator ID, an identifier for the creator of the event. Lastly, description, which is a brief description of details about the event. The class also has 2 getter methods, event date and event time, which allow us to retrieve the date and time of the event in specific formats. The event time returns the date in this format, and the event time returns the time in this format. The last 2 blocks of code have something to do with JSON serialization and deserialization. Upright communicates with our Flutter app using JSON data, and this conversion is crucial for the serialization, which means it takes the JSON data received from Upright and converts it into a Dart object type MyEventModel. Essentially, it transforms the event data fetched from Upright into a format that our Flutter app can understand. When working with Upright, we need to communicate with the backend by sending data in JSON format. For example, when a user creates an event, the information should be converted or transformed into a format that Upright can understand. The toJSON method conversion plays a vital role in serialization. Upright can understand and process this JSON data, allowing it to store the event information correctly in its database. So that's pretty much it for the event model. We'll do the same thing for the attendees model. The attendees model class represents the data structure for attendees in your app. It contains 2 properties, user ID to store the unique identifier of the attendee, and event ID to store the unique identifier of the event the attendee is associated with. So by using the MyEventModel and attendees model, you can efficiently manage event and attendee data in your app. That's it for models. So let's proceed with using Appart APIs to make our event feature functional. Remember when we did our authentication feature? We used various Appart APIs in auth service file. We'll do the same thing, and we'll do it on the event service file. To give you an overview, this code handles communication with the backend of our chipIn app using Appart as the backend service. Again, the same as what we did on the auth service, it defines several methods to perform various tasks related to an event, namely create event, join event, get my created events, get my joined events, and lastly, get all events. So let's start with create event. By the name itself, it is used to create an event. This method takes a myEventModel object representing the event's details. The method starts by combining the date and time of the event into a single date-time object. This allows us to work with the event's date and time together. The combined date-time object is then formatted into a string with the desired format. This format will make it easy to store and display the event's date and time consistently. A unique event ID is generated using the UUID package. The ID is created randomly and ensures that each event has a distinct identifier. The event's details, along with the generated event ID, are saved to the database. This is achieved using the database's .createDocument method provided by the Appart package. The data is stored in a map containing properties like the event ID, title, date, location, creator ID, and description. If the event creation process completes successfully, the method returns true. This indicates that the event was created without any issues. In case an error occurs during the event creation process, for example, if there's an issue with the database or network, the catch block will handle the error. The error message is printed and the method returns false. This indicates that the event creation failed. Next, a join event method that is used for joining an event. This method takes an attendees model object representing the attendee's details. The method begins by generating a unique document ID for the attendee using the UUID package. This ID will be used to uniquely identify the attendee's record in the database. The attendee's details, such as their user ID and the event ID they want to join, are saved to the database. This is done using the database's .createDocument method from the Appart package. The data is stored in a map where the keys are user ID and event ID, and the values are extracted from the attendee argument. If the attendee's details are successfully saved to the database, the method returns true. This indicates that the attendee has successfully joined the event. The get my created events. This method is used to get the events created by the user. It queries the events collection ID, fetching all documents. For each document, it converts the data into a myEventModel object using the same from JSON factory constructor. The method then filters the events by comparing the user ID of the creator to the given user's user ID. Matching events are added to a list and returned. Next, we have the getMyJoinedEvents method. It is quite similar to the getMyCreatedEvents method we have just talked about previously, but this method is responsible for fetching events that a specific user has joined. So instead of searching in the events collection, it searches the attendee's collection ID in the Appart database. So despite their different filtering criteria, both methods share a common pattern, listing documents from specific collections, converting the data into model objects, and selectively populating lists based on specific conditions. This allows the app to efficiently manage and display events that users have joined or created. Lastly, getAllEvents method to get all the events created by each user. The method starts by retrieving all events from the database using the database's .list documents. The method checks if there are any events in the response received from the database. For each event in the response, the data is parsed into myEventModel object using myEventModel.fromJSON method. This allows the event data to be represented in a structured format. The parsed event is then added to the event list, which keeps track of all the events created by each user. The method returns the event list, which contains all the events present in the database and that is created by each user. And that's it for the event service. This time, let's improve our homepage widget. This is the page where we can access all of these views. As you can see, our homepage widget is currently stateless. So let's make it a stateful widget, because just like the authentication main view, we will have bottom navigation bar to switch to different views. So right click on the stateless widget and select refactor. Choose convert to stateful widget. Great. This will convert the stateless widget to a stateful widget without us writing a code. Let's go back to our auth service class to create additional methods for our event features. We have here getUsername and getCreatorID method added. Both use the account.get method from Appart package to fetch the required detail. One is for fetching the user's name and the other is for the ID. The first view that we are going to work on is the createEvents file. In a nutshell, this code is for a page where users can create an event. Hence, the class is called event creation screen. This stateful widget has several variables that store information about the event to be created, like title, date, time, location, and description. Select date and select time are functions that allow the user to pick a date and time for the event using a date picker and time picker. When the user selects a date or time, the respective date and time variables are updated. Submit is a function that is called when the user wants to create the event. It validates the form field, and if everything is valid, it creates a new event using the provided information. It then calls the create event method from the widget.event service to save the event to the server. Inside the scaffold, there is a form widget that wraps a list view containing various form fields for the user to enter the event details. As we know, the text form field widgets are used for user input, and list style widgets with onsap functions are used to pick the date and time. The create event button, or the elevated button, triggers the submit function when pressed, initiating the event creation process. After the user creates an event, there should be a page where the user can view the complete details about the events, especially the attendees. So let's create one using the event details file. We have here an event details screen widget. When you open this screen in the chipIn app, it will display the event's title, date, time, location, and description in a neat table. You will also see an image related to the event. As our app develops, I'm planning to add a feature where the user can upload an image for the event they are creating. The join event method allows the user to join the event. It creates an attendees model object containing the event ID and the user's ID, then calls event service.joinEvent to handle the joining process. The event details are displayed in a column. The table widget presents rows for each event detail. The build table row function generates these individual rows for the table. Within the screen, users will also be able to join an event through an elevated button. Let us keep the views folder for now, and let's work on the widget folder, specifically on the event card file. This will serve as a reusable component for different views. I think the best use of this component is for our homepage's carousel animation. We'll be working on that when we start making our app's UI look better. This event card widget is used to display summarized information about an event. It takes an instance of my event model, which contains information about the event. The date and time are formatted using the International Package's date format. The gesture detector wraps the entire card, making it tappable. As you'll see in the carousel slider, we can tap on the event card to view the event details. Awesome stuff so far. Let's go back to the views folder, and this time, let's work on the created events file. This file will contain a page where users can see the list of events they created. This is also where the event card will be useful. This My Created Event screen widget displays a list of events created by the current user. In the build method, if loading is true, a circular progress indicator is displayed to indicate that data is being fetched. If loading is false and My Created Events is empty, a message is shown stating that the user has not created any events. On the other hand, if loading is false but the My Created Events contains data, a list view builder is used to display the list of events. Each event is represented using the event card widget, with the show join button parameter set to false to prevent showing a join button for events the user has created. So in summary, the My Created Events screen displays events created by the user in a list format. It fetches data from AppWrite and presents the events using the event card widget. If we have a screen for created events, then we should also have a screen for joined events. Go ahead and open the joined events file. The My Joint Event screen works similarly to the My Created Event screen. So in summary, the My Joint Event screen displays events joined by the user. It fetches data using the event service and presents the events using the event card widget. So if there are no joined events, a message is shown. If data is being loaded, a loading indicator is displayed. So the main difference from the My Created Event screen is that it shows joined events, whereas the other screens show events created by the user. Join Event screen will be the last view we will be creating. So go ahead and open the Join Events file. The Join Event screen widget displays events available for joining, so it fetches data using the event service and presents the events using the event card widget. So if there are no events to join, a message is shown. If there are existing events created by other users, the user can join them by tapping the join button, and the join event method handles the joining process. Awesome. We have completed all the views file. These are what I would consider as components to put into our homepage widget. So let's update our homepage widget. Open your homepage file and we'll call all our newly created views and position them on the homepage where it makes sense. As you can see in the import section, there's like a lot going on right now. Majority of these imports are from the views folder. So let's break down the code and see how these views are placed. The homepage widget itself is a stateful widget representing the main homepage. And this is the first time we're seeing this, because inside the homepage, there's a homepage layout widget, which is a stateless widget representing the layout of the homepage. The main function of that is it displays a carousel slider of events fetched from AppWrite using Future Builder. The carousel slider is created using the carousel slider.builder, which is part of the carousel slider package. It displays event card widgets for each event fetched from AppWrite. The homepage state class contains a list of widgets, widget options, representing different views to display on the homepage. The bottom navigation bar contains a bottom navigation bar widget with 3 items: Home, Joined Events, and My Events. It allows users to switch between these views by tapping the icons. We also have here the floating action button, which is a speed dial widget providing a quick actions to create and join events. The app bar displays the currently logged in user's name. It is retrieved using authservice.getUsername. It also includes a logout option in the pop-up menu that calls authservant.logout method to log out the user and redirect to the authentication screen. So in summary, the homepage is the main screen with the bottom navigation bar for switching between different views. It displays a carousel slider of events, and the speed dial provides options to create and join events. The views are organized into separate widgets for clarity. I just want to give a side note here because I think I mentioned before that we are going to add the carousel slider on the theming part of the app, but I end up adding it right away. You'll see on the following clips where the carousel is not there, but no worries, we're just going to focus on the views anyway, so that's coming right up. Let's try creating an event and check if the event details will be sent to our AppWrite database. First, make sure you're logged in. Once you're on the homepage, click the floating action button and select Create Event. Feel free to create your own event details. Once done, go ahead and submit. Interesting. I got a snack bar message saying that my event creation failed. I wonder where the error is coming from. This is where the catch error message is useful. The snack bar message is mainly for end users, but as developers, we need to know exactly what the error is. In your Flutter project, head over to the debug console by clicking on this, and select the button with the bug icon to view the debug console. You'll see the relevant error message. Flutter failed to create event, AppWrite exception, user unauthorized. The current user is not authorized to perform the requested action. This has something to do with providing the user with permission to make updates or edits to the events collection. So let's go back to our AppWrite console and navigate to the event collection page. Then click the settings button, navigate to the update permissions section, and click the plus icon. Select all users and tick all the checkboxes, then update. Do the same thing on the attendees collection while we're at it. Alright, so let's go back and try to submit our event again. Perfect. Now go back to the AppWrite console to check if our newly created event is in there. Awesome. Let's create some more. Let's check the My Events page so we can see all of the events we've created. Cool, it's all here. So disregard the overflow error you're seeing right now. We'll fix that once we'll proceed with theming our app. The next view we are going to test out is the Join Events page. That is the page where all users can see all of the events created by every user. So let's create a new account first so the new user can create their own event. Okay, that's one event. When we go to the Join Events page, you'll notice that all of the events are visible here. The one thing that is different is the exact event that the currently logged in user created, and there's no join button. That's accurate because I'm supposed to only join to the events that I didn't create to begin with. And that's pretty much it for the event features of our app. We'll proceed in the last chapter of this video walkthrough, and we'll make our app look a lot much better. Let's get right into it.